I'm David Christoffel. I am a trustee at Reclamation District 1000. I'm a third-generation Natomas Basin resident. My grandfather came in 1919, bought land and grew pears. He farmed, my dad farmed, I actually farmed for a while.
A lot of people in this area don't even realize they live in a floodplain. We're here to provide public safety, to protect the people here in Natomas.
We take our job very seriously. We understand the importance, we recognize the importance of that.
Levees are basically miles and miles of dams, and they're made out of earthen material. And in Natomas, it's kind of unique. We don't have levees just on one side of us, we have levees on all four sides of us. This was known as an inland sea, where basically the water would go all the way to the foothills. Sacramento, and Natomas in particular, was identified as the next New Orleans, potentially that could happen. And there's places in Natomas where if the levees were to fail, you could have 20 to 25 feet of water. We're responsible for operating and maintaining the levees that surround and protect Natomas.
We're out here to protect our ratepayers in our district. We're a flood control agency primarily. We maintain the levees and the canals and ditches for drainage and the pumping plants to protect the interior of the Natomas Basin.
We have 7 plants around Natomas. We have miles of drainage canals that we have to operate and maintain. We have to be monitoring the system. We have to be vigilant. When the water gets high enough, it's 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, we're out here monitoring. If we see a problem, you got to respond quickly. You can't wait for it to get worse. The most important thing is that when the flood occurs, when the river's up high, is that we're out there. We're out there with trained eyes in the field. Every year we have to get the pump stations, make sure they're ready for the flood season. We have to go through our drainage canals. They get clogged with vegetation and invasive plants that have to be removed. When it starts raining, my guys get out of bed, they put their boots on, they come in, they make sure that everything's working, so while everybody can sleep, there's a group of people out here that's looking out for them.
Growing up in the basin, I had the opportunity to witness a couple of events that I think really caught my attention, caught my eye. I think the first was in 1986, and that was the time that I lived in the basin, and I saw the Sacramento River, particularly the American River, at levels that I had never seen before. Actually, on the American River, it was frightening to see how much water was coming down the system.
In 2006, I was working on graveyard shift. I was there at 11:30 at night, and I noticed we had some boils in the pumping plant, and they were flowing a little bit of water. I
was awoke by a call from the then general manager indicating that we had discovered a boil. And a boil is something to be very concerned about. It's actually a situation where water is coming through the levee. In a sense, it's a leak that you need to be very concerned about. It could actually undermine the levee and cause a failure. I called the crew over there. In turn, we built a sandbag wall around it with a drain to put back pressure on the boils so that we didn't have a levee failure. A decision had been made, people knew what to do, and they got the situation under control.
Minutes can be the difference between actually saving a levee and not saving a levee.
And that's our primary objective. Our goal is to keep the system maintained and operated so that it functions the way it's supposed to during an event. What we really want to do is make sure that folks that live in the basin understand the risks and are aware of what we do and why we do it, so that when those times come, everybody's on the same page with what needs to happen and what we need to do to get through it together.
We just can't have a flood here in Natomas. I mean, the results would be catastrophic. The potential for people to lose their lives would be very high. Property damage would be enormous, and just the impact to the region and the economy. I mean, you can imagine International Airport being closed for 6 months. How do you get in and out of this area? How do we get supplies in and out of this area? We have 2 major freeways, Interstate 5 and Interstate 80. They would be shut down. It would be a disaster, not just for Natomas and not just for Sacramento, for the whole region.
We've got a pretty focused mission, but we also acknowledge and recognize that we live in a community. We are part of the community. A lot of what we do and a lot of the protection that ultimately comes from our activities comes when we work together with the community.
We get out there, particularly during the flood season, and with information, be a resource for people. We're a public agency. We have a board meeting every month, the second Friday of every month here at the district office. We have a website, we have a Facebook page, we have a Twitter account. There's all kinds of ways that people can engage to understand what's going on here at the district on a day-to-day basis. I think we realize that we can't just look at ourselves as a single mission type of a district. We have to look for ways that we can interact with the community, partner with the city and the county. I think it's just good stewardship and good governance. There's so much information out there on the web. People can know the simple thing of what's the elevation of their house, what's the elevation if there were a levee break, how do I get my family safely out of Natomas, what would happen if there was a levee failure. There's so many resources out there. In an area like this, because of the proximity to the river, you have to have an agency like us that's always ready, always prepared for a flood.